Hey there guys, what's going on? It's Gale right here, back on the 5-9 channel, and we are bringing some news from the gacha side. Of course, last month, I think it was last month, we obviously had the release of My Hero Academia, The Strongest Hero, a game highly anticipated by a lot of people, touted as the MHA version of Genshin, and, everybody was excited. You could do co-op, PvP. It was a new MHA gacha after, what, 2 to 3 years, especially since Smash Rising / Smash Tap. And there's been a lot of problems since then, for a lack of a better word, or being a bit, not exaggerating too much over there, I suppose, or under-exaggerating it even, I should say. And today with me, of course, we have Ignant. Say hello.
Hello.
And we have Choco.
Hello.
Alright, and if you guys... if you guys want to see more content like this, leave a like, of course, and if you want to just generally subscribe to the channel, of course, you can click that button down below. But lads, let's get right into it. So let's start off with your first impressions of TSH when it first came out. How did you feel about it? Let's start off with you, Choco, because I know you were excited like I was, or not. I wasn't really excited about it because I was more excited for UI, but I was still hoping that it would be good, right? How did you feel when TSH first came out?
I thought it was pretty neat. I was really hoping that it was, because I really like the idea of Genshin. The problem I have with Genshin is it's way too slow to actually update. And I was like, oh hey, another game, similar style. If they can keep releasing content and worthwhile updates, it's going to be great. To which they managed to do none of that.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. Like, there was like that hype and expectation that yes, this is the perfect iteration of what they could have done, like making it like this 3D open world-esque kind of game while also giving updates on a regular basis. Iggy, of course, how did you feel? Did you care about the game, or did you just
I knew it was gonna be complete from the get-go. I'm going to censor, don't worry.
Yeah,
but
no, it's
as
all
soon
good.
as I saw it from a Chinese company, the graphics looked awful. I saw the ping when Hydrus was playing the game. He said like 500 ping the entire time. I was like, yeah, this game fucking sucks, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I had no hopes from it since day one. Because like Ultra Impact was the one I said, okay, that one's really good. Then I looked at Strongest Hero, I was like, okay, that one sucks by default because it's a Chinese developer. And lo and behold, look at all the f***ery they've done, dude.
No, I don't disagree. I completely don't disagree. I was kind of like, okay, there have been some... I mean, MiHoYo is arguably an alright Chinese developer considering all things said and done, but they go for a more Japanese style of like the gacha system and everything. So they kind of operate in a good, steady manner anyways, right? Whereas your normal Chinese developer does tend to, monetize it quite heavily. The style of the gameplay and, how much they incentivize you buying stuff, it's quite high, and especially it was noticeable. Like the moment I got in and I was like, yeah, there is Genshin elements, but you can easily tell that this is very similar to stuff like Hero Kantare and stuff like that, where they throw monetization at your face regularly on a regular basis. But that's besides the point. Of course, considering all things said and done, I still was hoping the game would be good. And it wasn't. Like Iggy said, when Hydrus was playing, he was encountering hyping, and he lives in the US. For some reason, they based the UK, the UK players in the US servers. So we had to deal with even worse ping sometimes because we're connecting across the pond, right? So there was that issue of the whole ping and servers being completely unstable. Even the launch had a lot of issues in terms of like people were unable to get in, people were getting kicked out of their servers, and so on and so forth. It was just chaotic. But recently, obviously they were releasing Endeavor, who on the Taiwanese version was apparently a monster. Really, really good unit. Everybody was excited for him to come over onto the global version, and they nerfed him. They effectively nerfed him to the point where he had 22% healing on his kit, and they dropped it down all the way to 2%. So whatever he could have healed, he couldn't anymore. An absolute disaster show. Go ahead.
Which makes a huge difference what I saw, because the way he works in the other one is like with the 22% healing, he takes damage from himself, but he heals it back, so he's still able to stay alive. But in the global version, he just fucking dies anyway.
Yeah, it's just like
regeneration, and they took away his regeneration because he has a mode where he goes like full flames mode for extra big damage. in the cost of sacrificing HP, which is normally fine. It made him the best PvE unit because you're going to be healing the entire time anyways. Now you can't heal. You deal extra damage for 10 seconds, and then you kill yourself because you can't out-heal. That's how it worked over on the Taiwanese version, and for some reason now, they decided to make him a bad unit.
Yeah,
if you get him to SS, it's actually worse. Dude, if you get a copy of him, keep it at S, because the more dupes you get, the worse he gets.
I mean, this is assuming people are still planning on playing the game. You know, bold assumption there. Very bold assumption there, I must admit. But yeah, no, that was pretty much it. Like, it was like, why though? And everybody was so confused as to why it was such a drastic change. It's all right if they dropped it down to say 16%, right? Because then it's still like, okay, you kind of nerfed him, but it's still usable, right? And maybe they would have shifted it on to maybe one of his equips, which we'll come on to in a second, right? But they just completely gutted him down to by 20%, and that's just like, but why though? There was no reason to. Turns out, well, indirectly they were planning on adding it to one of his equips, or his card basically, where the card would have his healing factor instead, and so basically to incentivize people to summon for the card, which in my opinion is already scummy enough. Personally, right? It's super scummy to like get people to, oh well, you have to summon for Endeavor, now you have to summon for his like equip as well, which it's not really a thing that is, you know, frowned upon, because a lot of other gachas do it. Genshin does it with getting the main unit and then you have to summon for the weapon, but even in Genshin you don't necessarily need to summon for the weapon. Yes, it's gonna help out your main character, but you can just give any other weapon and they'll still be more often than not fine in that game, whereas here, the plan was initially to give that card. Well, it turns out that was also a lie. Apparently, it was advertised as that the card would have the healing, and then I think a day or so later on, they just decided to change it, and the card never had it anyways, but they changed it. They changed the advertising as well in-game, saying that, oh, it doesn't have the healing. I mean, it's false advertising 101. I mean, it's just ridiculous as to how badly they've screwed this whole thing up, right, guys?
Yeah, they nerfed a unit, and to keep in mind too, they didn't actually mention he was nerfed. Their excuse was, oh, well, we never said he wasn't not going to be nerfed.
Yeah,
because you wouldn't have found out he was nerfed until you actually summoned and got his passive, and you scrolled up and like, oh, okay, it's different, and you would have had to know about the Taiwanese version. So it was a shadow nerf, which, fair enough, it's a different version, but it's still, they never mentioned it, and they had some weird dumb excuse, and yeah, blatant false advertising, to which they also just shadow fixed without saying anything because, whoops, our bad.
Yeah,
There's 200 hero coins.
Oh my god.
Basically 4 dragon stones.
Yeah, it's not even a single on the game, by the way. A single on the game is 250 hero coins, right? And instead they gave out, what, 200 hero coins and...
Have they ever given a full single worth? I don't think they've ever. I think they've only ever given 100, 150, or 200. Oh
yeah.
My god, dude.
Yeah, I've never heard of them doing anything like that. It's crazy, bro.
I love it because all this stupid scummy stuff they do, and people always surprise Pikachu face every time. It's like the Grand Cross players, bro. They're like, wow, the game is great, they're listening. They do something stupid. What?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like, it ain't the first time, my guys.
Yeah, it's like, I understand if they were to, again, like I said, you know, there has been cases where, you know, games do tentatively just nerf a unit on the other version just slightly. It may not be a drastic change, but it's always like maybe 2%, 3% done. Here it was just no healing. They effectively false advertised the card for a split second, and then they ninja fixed it effectively, and then it wasn't there anymore. They didn't give a good compensation, and then they bring out a letter a couple of I think this was an hour ago, basically at the time of recording, and said, oh, we would like to begin this letter with an appreciation for the love and support you showed the game, and yada yada yada. And then they said, like Choco mentioned, they had never intended the player to be the same as the other versions, and it's like, you never said that in the first place. Why are you assuming that we would know that you would change it, right? So that's one problem. And then they go on to say like, oh, you guys are abusing the refund system. Well, my guy, obviously we're gonna refund it. You've broken the law. Why would we not get a refund, bro? Like you expected people to summon for the card, assuming that the healing is on that card, and then go on to be like, oh no, we never wanted it to be that way, and we just made a mistake. Here's your 200 hero coins. Stop refunding on our game. And it's like, what kind of thing? Like, don't get me wrong. I personally did think like Ultra Impact was gonna be better, but I was still hoping that this game would have a steady, you know, improvement, and you know they would work on the game. But these guys do not know how to run a game, first and foremost, and second of all, they have no integrity for their player base. They have no respect for their player base either. Like, I would not be surprised if they lose a load of their player base after this situation.
I mean, yeah, something that even like a lot of mini paying players to high end. I mean, I'm done. I'm only playing right now for B-roll, and I spent a decent amount. Like, I have Aizawa because Aizawa's my favorite character. You can't get him free to play, which that's just another whole thing of it's been a mess. You just couldn't get him free to play unless you had some god tier luck and only pulled Deku's or one specific character. Like,
which is crazy because from what I saw, he's super busted in PvP.
Oh yeah, no, Aizawa was like fantastic. If by some chance the game ever gets good, hey, great, I have him and All Might. Cool. Which All Might they also nerfed for some reason in Super Co-op. From what I've heard, overnight they made him a god tier. For like his AI was god tier. Overnight they made it garbage. I don't know why you would shadow nerf All Might like that. What is the point? Like,
it's
what?
It's just odd because I've never seen. Okay, I'll be very honest. I've played. I think all three of us have played a bunch of gachas in our time. This has been one of the rare times I've seen like this sort of a mass refund. It's been so rare. Like, most gacha companies actually do know how to run a game, even if it's somewhat bad, right? Like, even Grand Cross, even though it has its flaws, it still never caused this much of a mass outrage ever, right?
God, I was too harsh on Ground Cross, man. I'm sorry.
Bro, I always say this, like, people go off on, like, games like Dokkan, Genshin, and stuff like that, and I'm just there like, bro, at least they've done their job in terms of at least giving you the product securely without making a mess of it, right?
Yeah.
Like, even when Dokkan has done, like, this whole false advertising thing, or even when, say, the UI Goku situation happened, remember, for New Year's, they immediately, like, I did say, it'll give them 2-3 days, it's still New Year's, nobody's around to actually do this, and lo and behold, over the weekend, on the following Monday, they refunded all the players, gave back the stones, and allowed you to summon again if you wanted, and allowed you to keep the characters, right? That's how you do
this
it.
Game, I've heard multiple people, they just buy a pack and they don't get it. And
I've heard that as well, yes.
Maybe you're lucky with support.
I've heard about that too.
Yeah.
Or like when Sora got to the pity, shout out to German Sora, not the Italian one. The Italian one's stupid. German one, gamer. He got Bakugo on his pity, and he had to wait for support to actually give it to him because his pity just didn't give it to him.
Oh yeah, I saw that actually. If we can, let's put the clip in if possible. But that.
I'd love to see. I didn't get my Bakugo. It legit reset my pity and everything. I have this recorded at least. Right. Unless they gave me the shards. And that's it. Let's see. They didn't. Okay, well, I'm going to be taking this to support. Because I've just gotten my pity and I didn't get an SSR. Interesting.
That was too funny. I was just mind boggled by that. I was like, bro, how? I mean,
and it sucks to say it, but it's like, this is why Chinese developers have bad rap. Like, you have your Genshins and Honkai Impacts, and then you have this.
Yeah.
That's like,
there's such a difference in quality.
Yeah, some people are like, oh, this is kind of racist to say that, but like, there's factual like backup to it. And there's so many of these with the Chinese gachas. Like, they used to have that Dragon Ball game that was like
the MMORPG.
Like, yeah, people call it like Chinese Dokkan or something way back in the day, like in 2016,
I know.
2017.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
I was actually like a top player for that game for like the first week or two, and then that's when the pay to win stuff started.
Actually, should be a full video on its own in the future. We got to actually talk about that one day.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah,
talk about
we
Dokkan
should-
China in one day, definitely. That's actually a good idea.
Yeah, but like that game was like it was super free for like the first week, and then after that, it was just pay to win central. It's just
Yeah.
like these Chinese gachas just have a bad rep for doing
Yeah.
that type of stuff, and
It's-
that's why like
A lot of
Like,
them want that instant money. The problem is that they look at these Japanese gachas and like the Korean gachas and whatnot and see their success and they think they can instantly replicate it in like 1 week. Not even that, if they just look over to their own side and look at Genshin and Honkai, right? They look at that and they're like, oh, Genshin made 500 million in like a month or something, right? And it's like, oh, we can do that as well. But they can't because the way they're doing it is completely different to the way Genshin and Co are doing it, right? That's the biggest problem. And again, it's easily fixable if they had, obviously, if this was like week 1 or something. I think they could have easily done this, but it's been nearly a month since the game's release, and it's just been it's been shambles over shambles over shambles over shambles. It's not a, I don't see a week going by where I see either Kabuki, Hydros, or somebody mentioning something going wrong in MHA, and they're like, I mean, I'm not gonna say I told you so because I didn't, but week 2 it was kind of obvious. At that point you should have just kind of been like, yeah, you can't expect a game to be good if there's an issue every other day, right?
yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, is there any way
And
you
it's
guys
crazy.
can? Yeah, go ahead.
The crazy thing is, I see there's a certain person. I'm not gonna drop name,
Mhm.
but he defends this
I know.
game to the death. Bro.
I know who you're
I'm
talking
not gonna
about.
Say, not gonna say any names, but there's
No,
this one
don't
guy
say
that
the
just
name.
defends the game to the death. It's
I
like,
know.
bro, why is this the hill you're choosing to die on? Like, there's an issue with this game week after week, day
Oh,
after
you know
day.
why? It's just because he's getting views from the remaining fanboys of the game.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, it's just,
I mean,
it could have been me, dude. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Could have been me.
it's crazy because if you look at any other gacha, and we're gonna keep comparing it to gachas because that's the thing, we have to compare and contrast like how games are handled. I understand other people defending on the hill of Grand Cross, and whatnot, because there are still good elements to that game. There is no redeeming quality here. And speaking of redeeming, is there any way you guys can see them redeeming themselves potentially?
Absolutely.
I
not.
personally don't
really.
see it. At this point,
It's just
no.
at the point where it's like, it's kind of like how Cyberpunk released Broken and they're trying to fix it now, but it's like the damage to your reputation is already done. Like, no one's going to look at you as a good thing, no matter how
Like,
much you fix.
Especially
you're
with
always
the
gonna have a bad
recent.
rep on
Yeah,
you.
go ahead. Go ahead, Troko.
With so Cyberpunk, right? It could eventually be good, and like in a year, I'll probably be able to play it and I'll enjoy it. The problem with the gacha game is it's free, and if you spend money, that's something you're like never really going to get the value back out of. So they're going to have to completely, basically reset because Aizawa, we don't know when he's coming back. So
Yep.
if you missed him, well, get fucked, nerd. Guess you
Yeah.
just don't get like the best unit in the game, basically.
The-
Whereas something like Cyberpunk, everything that's in the game, it will always be in the game and patched in because I don't have to worry about week-to-week content stuff.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be very
the biggest
yeah.
problem.
I don't think
The biggest problem I'm seeing here is that as well, in my personal opinion, is it would have been fine if it was week 1, right? I think week 1, you make a mistake, you can easily correct it, and then from there on, make sure you're in the goodwill of the community, right? But it's been nearly a month. They haven't been able to do that yet. And they clearly have made it even worse with this most recent letter that we've just got from them, right? I think it's from the EU version of the EU Twitter account, right? And there's been nothing, and there's no sign of improvement, and that's a huge problem. But yeah, any final thoughts from you guys before we wrap up this video? Because yeah, it's just wild.
Hey, look, I'm telling y'all, don't keep playing this trash. Play something else.
don't.
Get something. Quick advertisement. Play Counterside. Counterside loves its player base. Look, that's
Bro,
all I'm saying.
I-
The whales, they love your whales. They love the free-to-play players. They treat everyone well. Play Counterside. Play Ultra Impact. That game's really good. Everything I've seen from Hydros, that game is really fun, really good. Treats its player base well. Just play something else. Like, support other games. Like
Yeah.
Ultra Impact. I don't think it's small, but like it could use a little bit more support on it. Counter side treats its players base well. You know, we could use some more players on it.
Bro,
You know,
play
just
Great Cross, if anything else.
I
No,
mean,
no,
if you-
no. I'm cutting that out. I'm cutting out the video. No.
I mean, I was gonna
Nah,
say
man,
like
finish
there's
it.
I can
This
if
is
you
not
really
awesome.
want to play other gachas, there's like 10 other gachas I could easily just rattle off right now that are just going
Play
to be better for
FGO,
your
bro. If you like story, play FGO. FGO's a good game. It gets
Yeah.
unnecessary hate.
I mean,
It's
yeah,
a
you're not
really
wrong.
good game.
Yeah. So
Like,
yeah,
you
no,
know,
go ahead. Yeah.
just don't support this game, man.
Mm.
It's awful. Like
Yeah.
if y'all still try to keep playing and supporting this game, you're just stupid. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but also yeah, just to let you guys know, there are ways to refund as well. If you go onto Apple's help and support as well as Google Plays, you can easily just get a refund by saying they false advertise. If you have spent money on the game, make sure you guys do that if you want to, because again, if you feel you've been mistreated, as evidenced by all of the situation going on, go ahead. I would recommend doing it personally. But yeah, Troko, any final thoughts before we close off?
I remember when people attacked Kabuki for saying he gives the game 3 weeks.
That was too funny. Yeah, I can't disagree with that. That was too funny. But yeah, I think that's where we'll wrap up. Comment down below, what do you guys think about this whole situation? Do you guys think there's any way for them to make a comeback and come back into your goodwill if you guys are still interested in the game? Which I must admit, I don't know why you would still be. But yeah, leave a like if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe for more content regarding gacha games, as well as just general games and stuff on the 5-9 channel. It's been Gale, Ignant, and Choco. We'll see you guys in the next one. Take it easy, everybody.
Bye. All right, easy.